Hey, Glock, is this true?
What's up, guys? Benny. If there's one silver lining to the very dark cloud around the Irina Zastruka slaughter on the bus in Charlotte, North Carolina, it is that fatigue has reached all-time critical mass levels for the mass slaughter and terrorizing of our nation by approximately 1% of our population. That 1% of violent, repeat offenders being released back onto the streets again and again and again to kill and murder and maim is the single worst part of American society. It's called restorative justice. And this video in 4K of DeCarlos Brown Jr., who had been arrested 14 times. It's not the number of cops. The governor is out there saying, I want more cops on the street. It's not the number of cops. It's the woke, dumbass, activist judges and the fatherlessness that cripples the black community that allows for things like this to continue to perpetuate. Mix both together, and ladies and gentlemen, you have the horrific crime spate that is not just a one-off. Throughout my timeline, every single click, there is now a new story, and perhaps people are now willing to tell this story and tell the truth about the pint-sized veterinarian professor who was hacked to death by a fiend while walking her dog in the park. Beloved veterinarian professor was walking her dog in an Alabama park. She used this park to exercise her dog almost every single day. The killer stole her truck and fled. Was caught by cops. She was hacked to death. Dr. Judy Gard at University College Veterinary Medicine in Kissel Park in Auburn. Hacked to death. Here are her children, her beautiful family, and her killer, Harold Rashad Dabney III. Why did he kill her? Just steal her truck? She driven to the park in a Ford F-150. The pup stuck by his owner's body. Truck was recovered. Harold from Montgomery, Rashad Dabney, was arrested and charged with capital murder. Like nothing else. Why was she killed? She was 5'2". She was 100 pounds. Okay. Sorry, but like if this was a innocent black woman doctor and a white guy, this would be the single most viral. The media would break into hysterics. And that's what's so sick about all of this. It falls to people like us to cover this because you can't count on the media being honest. And that's how we've gotten to this point. The realities are horrifying in our nation. And there is a new story again and again and again in my timeline. Here, I just saw this one. Woman's story needs to be shared. This is why President Trump needs to send the National Guard to Chicago.
I would like to discuss something that my family has been dealing with for the last 2 weeks. My stepmother, Kathleen Miles, was brutally attacked downtown Chicago in the Loop at 5:15 approximately p.m. On August 19th. Our world's changed. She was walking along the side of a colleague, like she's done for the past 20 years that she's worked downtown. And unfortunately, she was brutally attacked by a man named William Livingston. He has done this several times, including a 15-year-old female. He has done little to no jail time.
See, same story every single time. Restorative justice. Oh, you're not allowed to lock them up because of socioeconomic, blah, 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 blah. We're going to talk about that in just a second, actually, because there are some socioeconomic factors, and we're going to discuss them honestly here. But how much more needs to happen? Listen, this lady goes on to say that her mother-in-law was bludgeoned and left for dead on the side of the road. This is what she looks like right now. She may never recover. This is her brain injury. This career attacker who just attacks white women, according to his record, strikes again after being released again and again and again and again. This is a premeditated racial hate crime. That's what it is. If the race were reversed, of course, and I would be the first in line to be like, yeah, get that person off the street. But of course, if the races were reversed, this would be the single biggest story on earth. If there's a white guy going around only attacking innocent and unarmed black women, it would be you would know that name. That name would be carved in the history books. There'd be laws named after them. All of Congress would get together and link arms and unite. Of course, that doesn't happen.
Shoved out of the way. She was punched brutally to the face, knocking her to the ground. Her head hit the cement. She was bleeding out on the cement. He stood over her and watched her until he was arrested.
Stood over there and watched. It's demonic. It's just completely and totally demonic. Now, why does this continue to happen? There are a number of factors. Obviously, everybody wants it to end. President Trump giving a speech this morning talking about how it must end and there are horrible acts of violence and it needs to be met with horror, meaning there needs to be punishment for criminals. That's the first step. You can't keep letting them out of jail. When they say that I belong in jail because I've committed so many offenses, give them what they want. Put them in prison. Incarcerate them. So you don't get this. But more importantly, you have to have the judges willing to do that. And also, you need to potentially look at factors that start well before any violent offenses. Break down some information and data for you. 70% of black children are born without present fathers. 64% of black children are raised by a single parent. There are 9 million black children in America under the age of 18. 6 million of them live in fatherless households. Now, what's the correlation there? The correlation there is that children without fathers are almost 100% more likely to live in poverty. They're half as likely to graduate from college, and they're twice as likely to end up in prison. In fact, 70% of juveniles in state facilities are from single-parent households. You have to cut off the mechanisms that incentivize fatherlessness. Of course, fatherlessness exploded in the black community when the welfare state began to reward fatherlessness, which is what it does. You get more money in fatherless households. So those who are already on the poverty line are clearly going to make that step and have a father out of the child's life. In fact, some of the earliest reports of some of the recipients of welfare, the state would send people to just ensure that no father was living at the home. That's how much they wanted to break down the family structure. Fatherlessness is literally killing America. But also, ladies and gentlemen, you can't incentivize it through money by the state or through money in GoFundMes. Sick bastards. GoFundMe pulls horrific fundraiser for DeCarlos Brown Jr., accused of murdering Ukrainian refugee on train. GoFundMe had $5 raised, $35,000 goal. They were trying to stop injustice against DeCarlos Brown Jr. GoFundMe has yanked a sickening online fundraiser for the maniac accused of murdering a Ukrainian refugee on a North Carolina train. The fundraising page suggested that DeCarlos Brown Jr., career criminal with no fewer than 14 arrests, the victim, Irina Zastruka, and a woman seen being knifed dozens of times in a random attack. Helping the 35-year-old homeless suspect would also support the fight against racism and bias against our people, the fundraiser said. Good. While what happened on the Blue Line was a tragedy, we mustn't lose sight of the fact that DeCarlos Brown Jr. was failed by the judicial system and mental health services of North Carolina, and as such is not entirely to blame for what happened. Got it? See how that works? Sick monsters. Raising money to assist with legal fees, anything to fight racism and bias against our people. Thank you for giving us a hand to push this corrupt narrative, the fundraiser spewed. Calls immediately to take the fundraiser down. GoFundMe should be ashamed. Anyone who donated to GoFundMe should be ashamed and effing ashamed. Race has F all to do with it. This is absolute rage if the race was reversed. It's amazing how often this happens, by the way. The platform moved to delete the pages after the backlash of the screenshot. Psychotic fundraiser. Here is where the fundraiser used to be. Fundraiser not found anymore. GoFundMe is crazy for this. I've reported the fundraisers currently. They have 0 donations. Report fundraiser and follow the steps. Innocent woman, completely unprovoked, scumbag. Reverend set up a GoFundMe, calling it racial injustice. That. After reaching out to GoFundMe, they told me that they removed all of the fundraising for murder suspect DeCarlos Brown Jr. GoFundMe terms of service prohibit fundraisers that raise money for the legal defense of anybody formally charged with an alleged violent crime. Consistent with longstanding policy, the fundraiser has been removed from the platform. Donors who contributed to the fundraiser have been fully refunded. Well, it only says there's $5 donated. So, but it does show you an insight into who these people are. Set up by a rapist. Oh, okay. Got it. It really is it's a scam. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. The whole thing's a scam. Luckily, it has been taken down. But this one hasn't. Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed a young man in Texas. Austin Metcalf's his name. Carmelo Anthony just stabbed him in the heart and killed him. He's been able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in his GoFundMe. Move into a brand new house, buy a brand new car. Something is horribly broken in this country. There's only one way to do it. There's only one way to do it. I mean, you have to fix fatherlessness in this nation. That's going to be extremely hard. That's going to take generations, if it's even possible at all. But then the next thing that you have to do is when somebody shows you who they are, you have to believe them. You have to lock up the criminal in this country. Thank God President Trump is serious about that. President Trump saying we're going to have to do horrible things to these people.
There are evil people, and we have to confront that. I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic. Just got up and started. It's right on the tape. Not really watchable because it's so hard. Trump administration will have no tolerance for terrorism or political violence, and that includes hate crimes against Christians, Jews, or anybody else. We're not going to allow it. And there was also a horrible killing recently in Charlotte, where I talked about, and so many others, and we're going to get to the end of it. And, you know, when you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible actions.
Take those horrible actions. Lock up that 1%, and you get rid of like 90% of the crime. It's as simple as that. And you have to cut off the incentives for this behavior. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.